All right, so today we're diving deep into tinnitus.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but specifically, the idea that what we eat
Okay.
might help manage that ringing in our ears.
Okay, interesting.
Millions of people deal with this.
Yeah.
And we got this source, Tinnitus Relief, a dietary guide to soothing ear health.
Okay.
Well, we want to know,
Mm.
is there any truth to this?
Mm-hmm.
Can we really eat our way
Mm-hmm.
to quiet our ears?
Yeah, I'm eager to see what this guide has to offer. There's definitely growing interest, right, in how diet impacts all sorts of conditions.
Absolutely.
And tinnitus is no exception.
Yeah. And, sometimes those miracle food claims can be a little sus.
A little suspect, yeah.
But we're going in with open minds, and we're going to see what the science says.
Yeah, let's separate the hype from the helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the guide starts by highlighting magnesium.
Okay.
And, I know it's important for lots of things in our body.
Right.
But I'm really curious about how it relates to tinnitus.
Well, I think it's helpful to think about it this way. Loud noises can damage those delicate nerves in your inner ear.
Right.
And that damage can lead to tinnitus, right?
Right.
So magnesium is really important for protecting those nerves and keeping them functioning properly.
So it's not just about quieting the ringing that's already there.
Right.
It's about preventing more damage.
Precisely. Yeah, and it's not just theoretical. Some studies suggest that people with adequate magnesium levels might be less susceptible to noise-induced hearing loss.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm paying attention. Where can we get this magical magnesium?
You might be surprised at the variety. So, leafy greens like spinach are great.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
But you can also get magnesium from almonds, avocados, even dark chocolate.
Wait, dark chocolate?
Yeah.
You're telling me I can protect my ears and indulge my sweet tooth at the same time?
Well, moderation, right? But yes, dark chocolate is a surprisingly good source of magnesium. It's all about finding those enjoyable ways to incorporate these foods into your routine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of enjoyable ways to eat healthy, the guide also mentions omega-3 fatty acids.
Right.
Now, I usually associate those with brain health.
Yeah.
But apparently they're good for our ears, too.
Absolutely. While most people know omega-3s for, being brain boosters, they also have these amazing anti-inflammatory properties that can benefit your whole body, including those delicate structures of the inner ear.
So to get these omega-3s, am I eating salmon for every meal?
Well,
what about those who aren't big on fish?
Yeah, you don't have to go overboard.
Okay.
So flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts are really great plant-based sources of omega-3.
Okay, so there's options.
Easy to add them to smoothies, yogurt, even sprinkle them on your salad.
Right. Okay, good to know. Now this next one kind of caught me off guard.
Vitamin B12.
Right, yeah.
So I know it's important for energy and all that.
Yeah.
But what's the link to tinnitus?
Well, think of the auditory nerve as kind of like a highway.
Okay.
Carrying all that sound information to your brain.
Right.
Now, if there's a traffic jam on that highway, because the nerve's not working well, that can cause all sorts of problems, including ringing in your ears, right? And B12 helps to keep that highway clear.
Wow, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So B12 deficiency could actually contribute to tinnitus.
Yeah, B12 is super crucial for healthy nerve function.
Yeah.
And that includes, the auditory nerve.
Right.
The one that carries those signals from the ear to the brain.
Yeah.
So if that nerve isn't functioning optimally, it can definitely contribute to ear ringing.
So for vegans and vegetarians out there, it's even more important to make sure we're getting enough B12. What are some good plant-based sources?
So, fortified cereals are a good option. Nutritional yeast.
Okay.
Some plant-based milks.
Right.
And of course, talk to your doctor about a B12 supplement if you're concerned.
Yeah, it's always good advice. Okay, on to zinc.
Okay.
Now, I always think of zinc for fighting off colds.
Right.
But our source suggests it might play a role in inner ear health as well.
Zinc's definitely a multitasker.
Yeah.
So it is essential for immune function.
Right.
But it also helps to maintain the structure of your inner ear. Some research even suggests that, zinc supplements might help reduce tinnitus symptoms for people who are deficient.
But haven't there been studies that have kind of shown mixed results on zinc supplements?
Yeah.
How do we know if it's really effective for tinnitus?
That's a great question. And you're right, the research isn't totally conclusive.
Right.
While some studies show promising results, others haven't.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that everybody's body is different.
Right.
And what works for one person might not work for another.
So the takeaway here is talk to your doctor before self-medicating with zinc. Absolutely. Self-medicating can be risky.
Okay.
And you want to make sure you even have a zinc deficiency in the first place.
Good point. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about antioxidants.
All right.
I know they're important for overall health, but how do they fit into the picture when it comes to tinnitus?
Well, let's talk about oxidative stress.
Okay.
So imagine these, tiny little troublemakers called free radicals.
Okay.
They're bouncing around your body, damaging cells, causing inflammation.
Right.
Now, antioxidants, they're like the superheroes that swoop in and neutralize those troublemakers, protecting your cells and tissues.
So oxidative stress basically means there's like an imbalance between these troublemakers and the superheroes.
Yeah.
And that can contribute to tinnitus.
Yeah. Oxidative stress is believed to play a role in a lot of health issues, including tinnitus. And that's where those antioxidants come in.
Right.
So by fighting free radicals and reducing inflammation, they can help protect your ears.
Okay, so the more antioxidants we're consuming, the better equipped we are to fight those free radicals. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing colorful fruits and vegetables are our best bet.
You got it. Think berries, bell peppers, leafy greens, all those vibrant, delicious foods. Eating the rainbow is not just a catchy phrase.
Right.
It's a recipe for better health, including potentially quieter ears.
Okay. This is already making me rethink my grocery list.
Good.
I'm starting to see how all these different nutrients kind of work together to support ear health. It's like a team effort.
Exactly. It's not about one magic bullet. It's about creating that balanced and nourishing diet that provides your body with the tools it needs to thrive.
Absolutely. Well said. Now, I'm actually really intrigued by this next nutrient the guide mentions.
Okay.
Potassium.
All right.
I know it's important for muscle function and all that, but what does it have to do with our ears?
Well, potassium is crucial for regulating fluid balance throughout your body, and that includes your inner ear. So, think of it like this. Your inner ear relies on this delicate balance of fluids to function properly.
Right.
If that balance is disrupted, it can affect your hearing, even contribute to tinnitus.
Wow.
And potassium helps keep those fluids in check.
I never would have guessed that fluid balance was so important for our hearing.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
And this connection between potassium and fluid balance becomes even more important as we age. So as we get older, our potassium levels naturally decline, which can impact fluid regulation in the inner ear.
So for our listeners out there, paying attention to your potassium intake could be super important.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're exploring natural ways to manage tinnitus.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's often an overlooked aspect of ear health.
Right.
But it can make a real difference.
So how do we make sure we're getting enough potassium? I know, bananas are a good source, right?
Bananas are a classic. But, there's a whole world of potassium-rich foods out there.
Okay.
So think sweet potatoes, oranges, cantaloupe, apricots, beans. The list goes on.
So we need to ditch that potassium equals bananas mentality and start branching out. This is making me realize how much variety there really is in a healthy diet.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all about embracing that variety and finding what works best for you.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of things that are essential for good health, the guide also emphasizes the importance of staying hydrated.
Right.
I know dehydration can make us feel sluggish and yucky, but how does it affect our ears?
Well, it might seem surprising, but dehydration can actually make tinnitus worse.
Really?
Yeah, remember how we talked about, the importance of fluid balance in the inner ear?
Right.
Well, when you're dehydrated, those fluids can become thicker and more sluggish, potentially affecting how your inner ear functions.
So it's not just about, feeling thirsty. It's about maintaining that delicate balance in our ears.
Precisely. And when we think about hydration, we need to think beyond just water.
Okay.
The guide highlights the importance of hydrating foods as well.
Hydrating foods. Now I'm intrigued. What are we talking about here?
So, think like cucumbers, watermelon, celery.
Okay.
Packed with electrolytes and water. They're excellent choices for staying hydrated.
Right.
And potentially helping to manage those tinnitus symptoms.
Okay, so watermelon slices for quieter ears. I like it.
Yeah, it's a fun way to think about it. It really highlights that taking care of your overall health can have a direct impact on your ear health.
I love that. Well said. Now, I'm actually really excited about this next section of the guide.
Okay.
Herbal allies. I'm always fascinated by natural remedies and things like that.
Yeah.
And it mentions ginkgo biloba, garlic, and turmeric as being potentially helpful for tinnitus.
Yeah, these herbs have a really long history of medicinal use.
Right.
And there's definitely some anecdotal evidence suggesting they might be helpful for tinnitus.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Okay.
What makes each of these herbs potentially beneficial for our ears?
So ginkgo biloba is believed to enhance blood flow to the inner ear.
Okay.
Which could theoretically help reduce deafening sounds. Garlic, well known for its anti-inflammatory properties.
Mm-hmm.
And then turmeric contains curcumin, which is a powerful antioxidant we were talking about earlier.
Right. But I'm guessing the research on their effectiveness for tinnitus specifically is still a bit mixed.
Yeah, you're right. While there's some promising evidence, more research is needed to determine their true efficacy.
Right. So while they might be worth discussing with your doctor, we shouldn't consider them miracle cures.
Exactly. And it's really important to remember that natural doesn't always equal safe.
Right. Of course.
Some herbs can interact with medications or have side effects.
Of course, yeah.
So it's always best to consult with your doctor before trying any new herbal remedies.
Good advice. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. But there's still so much more to explore. What stands out to you the most so far from what we've learned?
You know, I think what's most fascinating to me is just how interconnected our bodies really are.
Right.
You know, it's amazing how something as simple as our diet can have such a big impact on our hearing health.
Yeah.
So this deep dive is really encouraging us, right, to view food as more than just fuel.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool that we can use to support our well-being.
Totally.
Including the health of our ears.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that what we put into our bodies really matters.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to something like tinnitus, which can be so frustrating and hard to manage, it's empowering to know that we might have some control through the choices that we're making about what we eat.
Exactly. And while we focused primarily on what to ADD to our diets, I think it's equally important to consider what we might need to avoid if we want to quiet those ear noises.
That's a great point. And I have a feeling this is where things might get a little challenging for some of us.
Yeah, it might.
But we'll tackle that head on in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
All right.
Welcome back to our deep dive into tinnitus and diet. You know, we've already uncovered so much about the power of nutrients and all. But now I kind of want to delve into the other side of the coin.
Right.
You know, what foods and drinks might actually be making our tinnitus worse?
Yeah, that's a really important point, and it's definitely something the guide addresses.
Okay.
You know, as much as we focus on what to add, it's equally important to be mindful of what we might need to reduce or avoid altogether.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What are those food foes that we should be wary of if we're trying to manage tinnitus naturally?
Well, brace yourself, because the usual suspects are caffeine, alcohol, excess salt, and processed foods.
I knew it. Those are some tough ones to give up, especially for someone like me who loves my morning coffee.
I hear you.
And the occasional salty snack.
Yeah.
I'm ready to hear why they're on the no-no list.
Oh, okay. Let's start with caffeine and alcohol.
Okay.
Both of those can actually increase blood pressure.
Right.
Which can make tinnitus symptoms worse.
Okay.
So imagine those blood vessels, right? They're restricting blood flow to the inner ear. That can definitely make the ringing or buzzing more noticeable.
So it's not just about the immediate effects of caffeine or alcohol.
Yeah.
It's about the impact on our blood flow.
Yeah.
And how that can affect our ears long term.
Exactly. And then there's excess salt.
Okay.
We know that too much salt leads to fluid retention.
Yeah.
And that includes the inner ear. Remember how we talked about fluid balance for healthy hearing?
Right.
Too much salt disrupts that balance.
Okay.
And can worsen tinnitus symptoms.
So it's like our inner ears are saying, hold the salt, please. I'm starting to see how all of these seemingly unrelated things are actually really connected to ear health.
It really is fascinating. And speaking of connections, let's talk about processed foods.
Okay.
Often loaded with sugar, unhealthy fats, artificial ingredients.
Right.
All of those contribute to inflammation throughout the body. And as we've discussed, inflammation is a key player in many health issues, including tinnitus.
So basically, if we want quieter ears, We need to be mindful of our overall health.
Yes.
It's not just about our ears, it's about our whole system.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about creating a healthy internal environment that allows our body to thrive.
Right.
And that includes, everything from what we eat to how much we sleep to how we manage stress.
Speaking of stress, I've definitely noticed that my tinnitus is worse when I'm stressed out or anxious. Is there a connection there?
Absolutely. Stress can have a huge impact on tinnitus.
Really?
It can make us more sensitive to noise, amplify those existing symptoms, and even trigger new ones. Think about it this way. When we're stressed, our bodies go into that fight or flight mode.
Right.
That triggers all sorts of changes. Increased heart rate, muscle tension, heightened senses. All of that can make tinnitus more noticeable and harder to manage.
So it's not just in our heads.
Right.
Stress actually has a physiological impact on our tinnitus.
Yeah, and that's why managing stress is so important for anyone dealing with tinnitus. So whether it's exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, talking to a therapist, finding healthy ways to cope with stress is essential.
This is making me realize that managing tinnitus is about so much more than diet. It's about taking a holistic approach that addresses all aspects of our well-being.
I couldn't agree more. Our bodies are these complex systems.
Yeah.
And all these different elements, our diet, our stress levels, our sleep habits, they all interact and influence one another.
That's such an empowering perspective.
Right.
It means that we have the power to make changes that can benefit our health.
Yes.
Including our ears.
Exactly. It's not about feeling helpless.
Right.
It's about taking an active role in our well-being.
Yeah.
And using all the tools we have to manage tinnitus effectively.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of the deep dive,
I
want to circle back to those food foes that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Giving up all caffeine, alcohol, salt, and processed foods might feel impossible for some people.
It can. I understand that. It's not about deprivation. It's not about going cold turkey.
Right.
It's about making gradual changes that feel manageable.
Right.
Sustainable changes that fit your lifestyle.
So instead of overhauling our whole diet overnight, it's more about being mindful and making small adjustments over time.
Exactly. So maybe it's cutting back on the coffee.
Okay.
Or swapping out the chips for a handful of nuts.
Right.
It's about finding those small wins that you can build on.
And it's about listening to your body, right?
Absolutely.
If you notice that your tinnitus spikes after that extra cup of coffee or that salty meal, that's valuable information.
It is, Pay attention to how your body responds to different foods and drinks. It's like this built-in feedback system.
Yeah.
It can guide you toward what works best.
I love that. It's about becoming more in tune with our bodies and making choices that support our overall well-being. And who knows, maybe those small changes will lead to quieter ears and a healthier you.
I'm hopeful. I think that's a great point to kind of end this section on.
Okay.
We talked about the power of nutrients, the importance of avoiding certain foods, and the need for this holistic approach to managing tinnitus.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of eager to explore some practical tips for incorporating all of this into our daily lives.
Me too. Let's head into the final part of our deep dive and see how we can put all of this knowledge into action. Welcome back. We've covered so much in our deep dive into tinnitus and diet. I've talked about magnesium, the trouble with excess salt, all that good stuff. But now let's get practical. How can our listeners actually use this knowledge?
Well, it's all about making those small, sustainable changes that we talked about. Sometimes just shifting your mindset can be huge. So instead of thinking about what you're giving up, try to look at it as swapping in foods that'll support your health.
I like that. Reframing those choices as positive steps.
Exactly. So instead of that morning donut, maybe you have a smoothie.
Okay.
Throw in some spinach, banana, almond milk.
Okay.
You get your magnesium, those omega-3s, all in one drink.
Okay, that's a swap I can get behind.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot better than steamed spinach.
Right. It's about finding what works for you and your taste buds.
Yeah, for sure. What about lunch? Any suggestions for making midday meals more ear-friendly?
Salads are always a good option.
Yeah.
But instead of just lettuce and dressing, try adding some protein. Healthy fats.
Okay.
Salmon, grilled chicken.
Right.
If you're a vegetarian, lentils or chickpeas are good.
Right.
And don't forget those omega-3 rich seeds we talked about.
Right.
Flax seeds, chia seeds, good for you, and they add a nice crunch.
Okay, I'm taking notes. This is all stuff I can actually do.
Yeah, and for dinner, aim for a balanced plate.
Okay.
Lean protein, colorful veggies, a whole grain like quinoa or brown rice. So many options, Stir fry, lentil soup, baked salmon.
This is making me realize that healthy eating doesn't have to be boring.
It shouldn't be. Get creative, find what you enjoy, experiment with new recipes, cook with your friends and family, make it fun.
I love that. Now, I know we focus a lot on diet, but you mentioned earlier that managing tinnitus takes a holistic approach.
Right.
What other things should we be thinking about?
Stress management is huge. We talked about how stress can make tinnitus worse.
What?
So finding healthy ways to cope is really important. Exercise is great.
It helps with cortisol levels, sleep, mood, all those things that can help quiet those ear noises.
So working out can actually benefit my ears. Sign me up.
Exactly. And don't forget about relaxation techniques.
Right.
Deep breathing, meditation, yoga, even a few minutes a day to calm your mind can make a difference.
Okay, those are great tips. What about sleep? I've heard that not getting enough sleep can make tinnitus worse. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. When we're sleep deprived, our bodies are just more sensitive to everything.
Yeah.
Noise, discomfort. That ringing can feel so much louder.
So good sleep is key for managing tinnitus.
It really is. Aim for 7 to 8 hours every night.
Okay.
Stick to a regular sleep schedule. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. Avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed.
Okay.
These are simple changes that can make a big difference.
This is so helpful. It's clear that managing tinnitus is a journey.
Yeah.
We have to be mindful of our diet, our stress, our sleep.
Absolutely.
It's really about our whole well-being. It is, yeah. It's a holistic approach. Our bodies are these interconnected systems.
I think we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about the link between diet and tinnitus, the science, and some practical tips.
And don't forget the importance of talking to your doctor.
Yes. They can help you understand all this information and create a plan that works for you.
Exactly. So as we wrap up, what's one final thought you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I think it's just to remember that you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
Tinnitus is so common, and there's so much support out there.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor. Look for online communities. Even explore cookbooks dedicated to tinnitus-friendly eating.
Those are great ideas. Knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better equipped you are to manage this.
And remember, be patient with yourself. It takes time to create new habits.
Right.
Celebrate those small wins and never give up on finding quieter ears and a healthier you.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of tinnitus and diet. We hope you learned a lot and that you feel empowered to make positive changes.
Yeah.
Remember, you have the power to make a difference. Keep learning, keep exploring, and take good care of your amazing ears.